One. Sitting around thinking of how to make some potassium oxalate, monohydrate, K2C2O4H2O. Some quick info: oxalic acid was first isolated from the wood sorrel in 1769. In case you don't know, this is how the plant looks. All parts of the plant are edible: the plant leaves, the flowers, the roots, and the stems. And it was isolated by Torbern Olaf Bergman. The scientific name of the wood sorrel of the plant, the wood sorrel, is Oxalis acetosella, and you can see where you get oxalic acid from the first name, oxalis. Once this was isolated oxalic acid, it was found to readily form salts with alkali metals, which neutralize the acid, the oxalic acid, and one of those, of course, is potassium oxalate, and that was formed by reacting oxalic acid with potassium carbonate or potassium hydroxide. Potassium oxalate has been used to chelate some metals, forming stable versus unstable, which are no good complexes. Some of those stable complexes include iron 3, which is of course found in rust, aluminum, and chromium. Iron 3 oxalate complexes are photosensitive and have been used in photography, but yeah, that's a while ago. Because iron 3 is found in rust, potassium oxalate can dissolve rust without being a strong acid. In our materials, we need oxalic acid, 34.2 grams, potassium hydroxide, 30.5 grams, and water, about 200 milliliters, and breathable air. Depends if you live near Canada or not. The reactions that are important are: number one, mixing the oxalic acid and the potassium hydroxide, which will yield K2C2O4, which is our potassium oxalate, which we're making, plus 2H2O. And the second one, which is really out of interest, is when you can remove rust using potassium oxalate. So we have Fe2O3, the rust, plus 6 potassium oxalates, plus 3 waters, yields 6 potassium hydroxides, plus 2 K3FeC2O43, which has this interesting and great name of potassium tris oxalato ferrate 3. And this, of course, is water soluble, and so you can wash it away easily. Moving on to our methods, we're going to use a 500 milliliter beaker, put approximately 200 milliliters of water in there, and then we're going to add our oxalic acid. Oxalic acid does not like to dissolve in water, and it takes a while, so you may need some heat in order to get it dissolved. And then you're going to add your potassium hydroxide dry to that mix and dissolve it. Because this is exothermic, mixing these two together, we need to evaporate the water next, but you want to wait it for the solution to cool down once these two have been mixed and start to cool down, which means the reaction has taken place, and then you can go ahead and heat it and reduce it to about 50% of our total volume, which is 100 milliliters, and then we're going to let it cool. Once it cools down, I plan on pouring it into a larger glass dish just because it's easier to get the crystals out of there when they crystallize, and then put it into a fridge to chill. Don't put it into the freezer because the result of the reaction we did is, of course, the potassium oxalate, but it's in water. So it produces water. If you put it in the freezer, it's just going to freeze into a chunk of ice. Put it into the fridge for a couple hours should be sufficient. Take it out, and then we're going to vacuum pump it, and then just wash it briefly with a little bit of cold water. Once the pumps run for a bit, just to help dry out our potassium oxalate, we're going to dump it onto some filter paper or paper toweling, whatever you have, to air dry it, and then we will take it and weigh it. Our theoretical yield is 40.5 grams, so we'll see how close we get. This really isn't that difficult of a procedure, so let's go make our potassium oxalate monohydrate. 34.2 grams of oxalic acid pre-weighed. 30.5 grams of potassium hydroxide pre-weighed. Adding the 200 milliliters of water. It doesn't have to be exact. Could be 150 even, but I'm going to go with 200. Turning on the magnetic stirrer and adding the oxalic acid. Because oxalic acid does not like to dissolve in cold water, I turn the heat on eventually just to get it to dissolve, and I hit around 35 degrees Celsius, maybe 34 degrees Celsius. Either way, it all of a sudden dissolved very nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this thermometer at this point. The potassium hydroxide should dissolve in there much easier. Adding the potassium hydroxide to the oxalic acid solution. The solution turned out to be nice and clear, which is great. The exothermic reaction we just did brought the temperature up to 78 degrees Celsius. When that actually starts to cool down, I know that the reaction itself is completed or has taken place, and then I'll start to externally heat it with the hot plate until we get rid of half the volume, approximately down to about 100 milliliters. The temperature started to come down on its own. It's down to 63 degrees Celsius or thereabout. So the reaction's completed. I'm going to now start to heat it. We are at approximately 100 milliliters here, and because it's pretty hot, it was at around 80 degrees Celsius most of the time. Even if I turn the heat off now, it's probably going to drop below 100 there as it cools down. But I'm going to let this cool down to room temperature. And then once it's at room temperature, I'm going to pour it into a flat Pyrex dish and we'll put it in the fridge to crystallize our potassium oxalate. Here's a glass dish I was talking about. As it's cooled down to room temperature and now sat for, I don't know, 5 minutes as I got this set up, it's already started to come out of solution, which you can clearly see it's white on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and very quickly transfer this. It's just a lot easier to get the crystals out of this glass dish. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to put it in the fridge next, and we'll let it crystallize even more. In it goes. I'm going to leave it there overnight, let it get good and cold. About 22 hours later, it's not been a full day. Actually, this might have only taken a couple hours, but just to be sure, I left it in there longer. All right, there we go. That's looking pretty good right there. It just needs to be vacuum filtered, and then we'll wash it with a little bit of cold water. This is a funnel that I cut the bottom off of so that it would fit on top just like that, which definitely helps. It stopped dripping now for at least 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the vacuum pump. I washed it there a couple times, you might have seen, with some very cold distilled water. And now we're going to take our potassium oxalate out of there and completely dry it. I'm going to just let this air dry. I will be back when it's done. Okay, let's weigh this. The expected yield is 40.5 grams. That's 40.5 grams. And we got 31.48. 77.8%, which isn't really great, but it's not terrible either. Either way, we have plenty to move on to the next experiment using this, which will be making potassium ferrioxalate in a future video.
Cranial consumption.
And now, a message from our sponsor.
Introducing Moron, a monthly subscription service. Our monthly subscription to Moron gives you black mold and insight into quagmire algorithms, strong reasoning skills for broken and odd objects, the ability to use everyday objects to prove you are a moron, key concepts in trying to open a bag, tuition into core brain ramblings, and flashcards are included. More flashcards are included, and even more flashcards are included. A bottle of slow-release cyanide. Try everything that Moron has to offer for the first 30 days for free. Just go to moron.org. That's moron.org. Put the link down in the description. For viewers of this video, Moron is offering a 20% off their annual premium subscription to the first to unsign their contract with Moron. And finally, I want to thank Moron for demonetizing this video, and I want to thank you for demonetizing Moron.